Welcome to Joy of Business Radio, hosted by Joy of Business facilitators from around the world, with special shows from Simone Milasas, the founder and creator of Joy of Business. Are you bored or dissatisfied with your work or business? Joy of Business is an invitation to a completely new way of creating. Did you know your business and job can actually be fun and joyful? If what you are currently doing isn't working for you, listen into this show full of pragmatic tools from Access Consciousness, which change everything in business, from money to finance, staff, creativity, productivity, communication, and beyond. Joy of Business Radio, weekly on OMTimes Radio.
That's such a happy little jingle. Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's show. My name is Kerry Garner Venter, and I am a certified Access Consciousness facilitator and Joy of Business facilitator. And I am going to be chatting to you all today about planning for profit. So in this reality, there is so much business out there, business advice out there about it could be a full-time job in and of itself about how to become profitable, how to become successful, how to really make it out there in business. And one of the topics that I have really found to be so kind of overlooked in a way is really what it takes to plan for profit. And so on today's show, I thought it would be really fun to really dive into this conversation in a very different and unique way, because the tools of Access Consciousness and specifically with Joy of Business really provide a totally different approach and perspective, and I think in my own business have really assisted me to catapult to levels of profitability that I didn't really believe were possible. So if that is something that you are interested in, is having more profit in your business and in your life, then stay tuned for this show. I'm really excited to have you on. So one of the first things about profitability is that it's actually like, what if the ultimate profit of life was not about expanding your wallet, but expanding your life? So many people talk about profit as though they've already decided what they think profitability is and what profit will be. And when we talk about profit in Access Consciousness, there's a real pragmatic about getting that, when you have a plan for how something is going to be profitable and you've made a decision or a conclusion about what is going to be profitable, there's really no way that you can receive what else is possible. And Access Consciousness and Joy of Business is about what else is possible and really receiving everything that's possible that you've never considered. And so the paradigm shift that I would love to invite you to consider is really that profitability is the expansion of your life, not your wallet. And what if profit was something totally different from what you've already decided and defined? And what if getting profit and being profitable was something, totally different than what you've decided and what this reality tells you is required? So that's what we're going to dive into, because essentially one of the most detrimental lies that we continue to be taught in this reality is that we have to listen to and buy the points of views of everyone else who's in business and who've done business their way. And more often than not, those points of views and those people's stories relate to totally different businesses and situations than your own. And so it's almost like, we're encouraged to do things that might not necessarily work for us, but because this reality perpetuates listening to everyone else's advice, we get trapped in almost like the guilt and the shame and the regret that if I don't listen to what everyone else is doing, I'm going to miss out on something. So how many of you out there feel like you will miss out if you don't apply the business advice that is circulating out there? And so now I'm going to do something called the Access Clearing Statement. So if you're not familiar with it, you can check out theclearingstatement.com, and it will explain this magic, potent amazing tool that we use in Access Consciousness to bring up all of the energy, all of the charge associated with every decision, conclusion, every point of view, really, that you've made about any of these topics that we talk about, and then poof, it just magically, instantly clears it all away so that you can actually create and choose from a totally different space. So the clearing statement sounds like this. It's right and wrong, good and bad, puck and pod, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. And so how many decisions, judgments, conclusions, projections, and expectations are you operating and functioning from that don't actually apply to you in your business? So everything that is and everything that brings up and lets down, would you destroy and uncreate it all? Times a godzillion. Right, wrong, good, bad, all nines, puck, pod, shorts, boys and beyonds. So I love this. I love the other part of the clearing statement, which includes the godzillion, which is a number only so big, only God knows how big it is. So we're multiplying everything that you have decided and judged by a godzillion, and then we're clearing that into an oblivion so that you can choose something greater. Because without choice, when I was talking to the founder of Access, Gary Douglas, and the co-creator, Dr. Dane here recently about this very topic, they were saying that, true profit is realizing that every choice creates something. And when you are truly profitable, when you're operating from true choice, that is when true profitability can come into your life. Because most people conclude that, they're going to have something, that it's going to be profitable, whatever they think, whether it's this product or this price or this approach, this business plan, this strategy, this social media campaign, whatever it is, rather than being in the question, what is this going to create? If I choose to implement this strategy, what is that going to create in my life, in my business, and in my future? And so really, if you're desiring to be more profitable in your life, what if you could actually operate from more question and more question of what your choices are going to create instead? Because if that is the place and space, if that's your new modus operandi, so to speak, that is going to give you the information and the awareness that will truly give you the profitability that you're looking for. And what if that profitability looked like something totally different than what you had decided that it was going to look like? So everything that doesn't allow you to be in the question and to actually question your choices versus thinking that questioning your choices was a wrongness or was actually some, that there was something wrong with being in the question, would you destroy and uncreate everything that is? Times a godzillion, right, wrong, good, bad, all nines, puck, pod, shorts, boys and beyonds. Because if you think about it, this reality that we are operating in is a contextual reality. So what does that mean, a contextual reality? Well, it means that there is the context of polarity of right and wrong and good and bad and better and worse and positive and negative and winning and losing. So everything is designed to get you into that polarity and to perpetuate those polarities so that it can maintain its form and function. So if you are if you are an infinite being, right, an infinite being is going to be operating from a non-contextual reality, which means that there are no contexts that limit you. You do not need to be confined to winning and losing and the right and the wrong and the good and the bad. And if you're someone that has really found, or struggled with competition and this winning and losing and this cutthroat kind of culture that is just encouraged and perpetuated and really struggled with, always trying to seek out the positive but always finding the negative, or always, judging you as wrong and trying to figure out why you're not figuring it out in the right way, that's usually a sign that you are not of this contextual reality, and rather that you prefer to function in a non-contextual reality where everything can be possible and things can be constantly changed and made greater, especially if you're someone that is always seeking something greater and you're always, wanting to improve on things and find new ways of doing it and wanting to improve the condition and the experience that we are having here on the earth. that gives me the indication that you're someone that, is not of this contextual reality, but is struggling to function in this contextual reality. And so what if these tools could contribute to you functioning in this contextual reality and creating beyond it? So some of the things that I've really become very aware of is that even though we are functioning in this non-contextual reality that perpetuates polarity and duality, you can't separate from it, right? So there's an awareness that you have to have where you're like, okay, so there's this different reality that I've potentially been aware of but never really known how to call it or put words to it. Now I'm hearing about tools that can help me create beyond it. So the thing that you've got to get is that you can't actually separate from this contextual reality. There's nothing wrong with it. Consciousness includes everything and judges nothing, right? And Access Consciousness and Joy of Business is about giving you more access to consciousness and to your awareness, which includes everything and judges nothing. And so there's nothing to judge about this contextual reality. It's just to be aware of the limitations that it perpetuates and that you do not need to be confined to those limitations any longer. Woohoo! How does it get better than that? So separation is one of the ways that judgment and duality and polarity actually create you getting roped back into this contextual reality, because that's what feeds it almost. Like that's kind of like the matrix. It's when you unplug from the matrix, it's not like you separate from it. You don't become, you become aware of it, but you start to recognize what you can create beyond that. And so when it comes to planning for profit, something that people do very regularly when they're not aware of this contextual reality and how polarity and duality and all of those things operate, and judgment especially, because judgment, just before I finish out of the sentence, judgment is one of the ways that polarity and duality get perpetuated. So if you think about a show like America's Got Talent, right, in the States there's this talent show that is probably, very popular around the world as well in its own variations. What is a judge on one of those shows doing? They're judging the talent whether it's good or bad, right? Like it's not just a judgment of wrongness or, so often this reality tells us that judgment, like the day of judgment is going to come. But people often forget that judgment has the positive side in it as well. Like, have you been a good boy or a girl for Christmas? Or have you been good in this lifetime? Not just have you been bad. Have you been succumbing to the evil sins, blah, blah, blah. So when you judge something or someone as good or positive, you still are perpetuating judgment, and you are still buying into this contextual reality. And when that happens, especially when it comes to planning for profit, you can't actually receive anything beyond that which you have judged, whether it's positive or negative. So if you judge a product that you have as the best product on the market, or that this product is going to be the best thing ever and you're so excited about it, what that creates is a limitation. So let's take a quick break and we'll get back into this topic in just a minute.
No one needs to have a money problem, especially you.
Yeah, did you hear that? You have an unlimited and mostly unaccessed capacity to create money and a financial reality that works for you. Simone Milasas has a brand new book. It's called Getting Out of Debt Joyfully. And right now, when you go to gettingoutofdebtjoyfully.com, if you pre-order the book, you'll get a free online course. What if you can create money in ways no one else can? Just go to gettingoutofdebtjoyfully.com to get your copy today.
Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community.
Aloha, my name is Jennifer O'Neill, and I'd like to invite you to come join me every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Hawaii Standard Time for my show, Spirit Chat. Spirit Chat focuses on simplifying the process of using the spiritual tools and gifts you were born with in a way that fits into your everyday life. I also teach different techniques that will help you learn how to navigate the spirit realm and empower you on your own spiritual journey. So join me this Wednesday as I guide you through the spirit world.
The number one reason girls drop out of school in sub-Saharan Africa is lack of access to feminine hygiene products. The Pads for Schoolgirls Project, an outreach of Humanity Healing International, is changing this paradigm by setting up sewing programs at schools, teaching girls a vocational skill while producing the reusable pads that help keep them attending classes. The girls pay it forward by making and giving pad kits to other girls in need. To learn more, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is. The cutting edge of conscious radio, OMTimes Radio, IOM FM.
All right, everybody, so welcome back. So we're talking about planning for profit and how that this is a totally different approach to seeing what profitability actually is, how to create more profitability in your life. And we're talking about how this reality is what we call non-contextual, which is based on judgment, right, wrong, good, bad, positive, negative, win, lose, etc. And when you start to function outside and beyond, not really outside, let's go beyond the contextual reality into the non-contextual reality where there is true possibility, true choice available, and where really it's a little bit chaotic, which can sometimes be just different and a little bit daunting for people. So what we were talking about just before the break is how if you are separating from this contextual reality or from your future possibilities with profits by getting into judgment, whether that judgment is positive or negative, like if you judge a product as being amazing and great and it's going to be the next best thing, that's a conclusion and a decision that, well, it's actually more of a conclusion that you're making. It's not really a question of, okay, so what is this product going to create now and in my future? And when you ask that question, you will get an awareness. Now, most people have been taught in this reality to get answers, right? That answers are the most valuable product. But actually, question to get awareness is actually one of the most valuable products. And those questions and awarenesses will lead you to greater profitability, because profitability, as we've already talked about, is really realizing that every choice creates something. And when you have total choice, you actually have total possibility and expansion of your life. Because separating future and profit, right, we kind of have this strange idea that money and profit are separate, and that profitability is something that we are going to get from doing something. And that's not always the case. And so when you separate your future and money and profitability, what happens is you start to create a future that potentially has no money in it, or you start to create a future based on your own point of view or your conclusion or decision that you've made about profitability, which then means that you can't receive anything greater than that point of view. So I'll say that again. When you decide or conclude or have a point of view about how something is going, what profitability is going to be like, or what is going to give you profitability, you can't then receive something greater than what you've already decided and concluded. So all of the decisions, judgments, conclusions, projections, and expectations that you have of profitability of your future and what is going to give you profitability in your future, would you destroy and uncreate it all? Times a godzillion, right, wrong, good, bad, all nines, puck, pod, shorts, boys, and beyonds. So there's quite a lot of energy on that, and it's not surprising, because so much of what we're taught is to come up with a plan, to know what we're going to do, to have a strategy, to stick to that goal, to stick to that plan, stick to that strategy. And the really interesting thing for me, working with energy and with linguistics in my previous career and understanding of how energy works, is when you look at the etymology or the meaning of words and where words were derived from and their root. The word goal actually has had so many definitions around limitation, boundary, endpoint, and when you think about setting goals, I don't know about you, but I have never been able to actually stick to goals. It didn't matter whether they were SMART goals or like BHAG. I don't know if you've heard of like a big, hairy, audacious goal. Like, it didn't matter what kind of goal I was trying to set. I never used to stick to them. They always made me feel very constricted, very limited, and I always found that I would get into the judgment of myself for not achieving the goal. And the thing that I've kind of found really interesting is if you think about a sport, right, like soccer, where the players are having to pass to each other and get into the right configuration and the right timing and have the right pass and get through all of their opponents. And even if all of that gets set up to a T and they aim for the goal, they strike, and they miss, do they get any points, even for all the effort, all of the concerted effort, all of the elegant passes, and they don't get any points? So what fun is that? Like, you know, in Joy of Business, we talk about putting the fun back in business, and money follows joy. So when you're talking about profitability and you're setting all these goals for yourself and all these strategies and plans, which are really like boundaries and limitations and endpoints, and you're aiming for them and you miss, even just by like a millifraction of a whatever, you don't get any points. However, if you're setting targets, right, like imagine a big target, and the bullseye is really like the sweet spot where you're aiming for. If you aim for the bullseye but you just miss to the left or to the right or to the top, bottom, etc., you get points. Even though you didn't hit the actual bullseye, you still get points. And it gives you immediate feedback or information about where to aim for next. So in business, when you're planning for profit, instead of setting goals and strategies and plans and deciding where things need to go, what if you just set targets, kept aiming, and then looked at the feedback that each of those throws gave you to say, okay, like, what do I need to tweak now? Because that feedback is going to give you a different question to ask. Like, okay, so I aimed, I didn't hit the bullseye, but where did I land? And what did that give me, or what information does that give me about where to aim for next? Because the thing with setting a goal or a strategy or a plan in your business about how to become profitable, if you're setting it and you are the originator, if you're the one that is deciding how that's all got to work and look, you can't actually receive from anything else that is beyond that point of view or that decision. So it's really important to start to get into the question of what is this going to create? And if every choice created a future, not just a profit, what futures are you creating that you haven't even acknowledged? That's something that I have been playing with recently, is like, what is this going to create not only now, right? Like, what is this choice going to create now for me, but what futures are actually getting created by me doing this? Because so often we want that immediate gratification from our choices, and the immediate gratification can actually start to blind you from the future that is getting created, which could ultimately lead you to the money and the profitability that could even show up greater than what you've ever imagined or considered. So what possibilities and choices are available now that you haven't yet chosen that are going to create a greater future than you've ever imagined or considered possible? And everywhere that you haven't acknowledged them and claimed them and owned those futures, would you destroy and uncreate everything that doesn't allow that? Times a godzillion, right, wrong, good, bad, all nines, puck, pod, shorts, boys, and beyonds. It's always about what choice you have that you haven't chosen. Because if you haven't chosen those choices, it means you haven't actually been tapping into what else is possible. And there is always so much more that's possible. I remember when I was at one of the certified facilitator trainings, Simone Milicus, the founder of Joy of Business, who I absolutely adore so much, she came up to me and she said, Kerry, I absolutely love your lipstick. Can I see what brand it is? And I brought it out, and it was this big, fat, like, lip pencil. And I said, Kerry, it is. I said, would you like to try some? I said, but it's actually, I think it's all finished. And she said, no, it's not. Just twist this little thing here. And I was like, oh, my goodness, I can't believe that. And she's like, Kerry, there is always more that's possible, even in places that you would never expect. And it was so funny because it's like the places and spaces that you're not looking, right? Like the choices that you're not choosing, the choice to just like go, well, what if there was more in this lipstick? Like, what if I twisted this? Like, what would that create? You know, we so often discount some of these choices that we have because we think like, oh, that'll never create something. That'll never contribute to me now. And that's a conclusion. Those are all conclusions that you're making rather than being like, well, what if it did? What if twisting this little lip pencil actually created a greater future? And I mean, you know, who knows? Like maybe that choice then, because Joy of Business, I wasn't a Joy of Business certified facilitator at that point in time. It was many years ago. And, you know, Simone was just someone that I had perceived that was like kind of like not far away from me, but just like not just I looked up to her in so many ways, and that had created a separation for me, which I wasn't actually aware of at the time. And when I started to not separate and started to be in the question of what could I receive from everyone around me and what am I refusing to receive from everyone around me that actually could create for me now and in the future. And, you know, a couple years later, there I was receiving way more than I could have ever possibly imagined from Simone with in the form of Joy of Business, and that contributed massively to my own business and to my future and what else is possible and how does it get any better than that. So I just urge you to really look at all the little tiny choices that you have available to you right now in these nanoseconds that you've never considered, that you've never even chosen, that are available for you to choose. And if you chose them, what would they create? I wonder what magic and miracles are waiting for you around profitability that you've never even considered. And so, you know, do you need a plan? Yes, you can have a plan. But, like, do you need to actually fixate on that plan and only, you know, decide or conclude that that's the plan that's going to give you the profitability that you would desire in your future? No. Like, what if there was so much else that was available to you and that was in your world that was just waiting for you to ask the question? Like, there are so many molecules of consciousness that are just waiting for us to ask a question that then allow them to start to reconfigure themselves in a way that is going to create what you're actually asking for. So, you know, this topic of planning for profit and creating from question, I get that it's a very, very different place and space to play with. But after this break, we'll come back and talk to the molecules a little bit more and see what else is possible. So I'll see you soon.
Have you ever wondered how to change your love paradigm? The secret key is finding a love partnership, not just a regular connection. How do you find these? Through conscious relationships. Ascending Hearts Dating is a dating site for people like you that believes in second chances and a different type of spiritual connection. Try Ascending Hearts for free today at ascendinghearts.com and change your love paradigm. Ascending Hearts, the premier dating community for the spiritually awake.
Tune in to the Practical Intuitive, Mind, Body, Spirit for the Real World with me, host Robin Fritz, Mondays at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 Eastern. I'll cover personal and business intuition, animal communication, mediumship, space clearing, past life regression, shamanic insights, energy healing, soul choice, and more, all to help you tap your own intuitive and healing skills. No ifs, ands, or buts.
Host your show on IOM-FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM-FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community.
Putting the fun back in business. Wake up, go to work, come home, watch TV, go to bed, repeat. Business, work, your job, hate it, bored, want to leave it? Or business, work, your job, fun, play, joy, fun. Which would you like to choose? You may not know this, but business, your job, work can actually be fun. Shake up your business routine. Check out my 3-part free video series on putting the fun back in business. Go to accessjoybusiness.com/fun and put the fun back in business.
Connecting you with the best of the conscious minds in the world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Alrighty, welcome back. So we are talking about planning for profit in a totally different way, and I'm inviting you into just looking at all of the different choices that you have available that you haven't actually acknowledged or chosen. And so what if there were no right or wrong choice? Like, what if there was no right or wrong choice? Look at that. It's always about a choice that you have that you haven't chosen. But if you think of choices as right or wrong, those are judgments. That's a judgment of right or wrong, and that sends you straight back into this contextual reality, which is limiting, in that it gets you twisted into the polarity and the duality of right and wrong and good and bad and positive and negative. And whenever you're stuck in that polarity or you're operating from either side of judgment, you can't choose. You don't have total choice. So when you don't have total choice, you don't have total profitability, because total choice is having total profitability. And so, whenever you find yourself asking if you are making the right decision or the right choice, POC and POD all of that, which is the short speak for right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD all 9 shorts, boys and beyonds. POC and POD it. You don't have to remember the words. You can even say that crazy stuff Kerry and all those wild, weird access people say, because it works. Like, why do we always say it? Why are we always using it? Because it actually works. Like, there is a total quantum physics explanation, which I would love to go into on another show, actually, about like how it works. But basically, light is created from charge being collapsed. So anytime you have a positive and a negative charge, when they religate, which is actually the etymology, the root cause of religion, one of the original meanings of religion, when you religate those charges and they collapse and there is no more charge, that is what creates light, which is why so many people are seeking enlightenment and why you feel so much light when you are actually operating from what's true for you, and why one of the greatest tools in Access Consciousness and Joy Business is following what's light and really asking the question, like, if I choose this, what will that create? And if it lightens up, that's true for you, and if it's heavy, it's a lie, because whatever is pulling you, like the heaviness is the charge. It's pulling you back into this into gravity rather than the divinity of what's true for you and what's light. So if you just had to keep following your light versus what's right, I wonder what that would create for you in your business, and how much faster and with more ease that would give you the profitability that you're actually seeking. So we were talking about talking to the molecules of consciousness, and how when you ask questions, right, that opens up more choices to what's available, and when you choose, you have greater possibility, and when you have greater possibility, you have more conscious awareness of, and it just kind of perpetuates this cycle of creation rather than a cycle of polarity and duality and judgment. So the interesting thing is, when you're talking about the molecules of consciousness, money is just energy. And so profitability can show up, like the molecules of consciousness can show up in so many different forms other than just money. And so, obviously money is something that contributes and assists you in creating your life, but creation does not require money. So many people have misidentified and misapplied that you need money in order to create. So everything that is, every way you've misidentified and misapplied needing money to create, which is keeping you locked up and limited from creating your future and consciousness, would you destroy and uncreate all of that? times a gazillion, right, wrong, good, bad, all nines, puck, pod, shorts, boys, and beyonds. So, you know, if you only, and what other lies have you bought from this reality around money, which one of them being like the only way to make money is being a slave to time. I certainly did that. I used to believe that, you know, the only way for me to really make money was to leverage more of my time. And what if time was actually a construct of this reality? Again, like this contextual reality is built on matter and time and polarity and duality and judgment. And so if you are really buying into the lie that you have to slave to time, what other molecules of consciousness are you refusing to receive from that could actually contribute to you? Like, how much money could you actually make while you're sleeping? If you've never actually asked that question, and if you've just made the conclusion that, oh, well, that's not possible, like that's a load of hogwash. Okay, cool. Well, your point of view creates your reality. So how's that working for you? But what if you got into the question of like, how much money could I make while I'm sleeping? And instead of looking for the answer, remember when we were chatting a couple breaks back about this reality perpetuates the value of answers versus awareness. Like, what if it wasn't about knowing the answer to the questions that you're asking, but rather looking for the awarenesses that are available to you, which are the new choices that you have that you've never even considered. So it's almost like you're throwing the darts, right, at your target. Every time you ask a question, you're throwing a dart to say, like, hey, like, what's it going to take to create that? And so when it lands, it gives you more awareness about, like, what you need to do next or what you need to choose next. And so choice creates. Awareness doesn't create. That's actually something that was very, very interesting and fascinating and a game changer for me when I started to do Access. I realized that awareness is something that I was definitely seeking, but it doesn't create anything. Like, you can be aware that smoking is not contributing to your body or that eating certain foods, you know, your body is not enjoying, but you can continue to keep eating them or continue to keep smoking, or that, you know, you're aware of the fact that your business is requiring you to take some time off, but you're not actually choosing anything different. So what if you started to recognize and value your choice as the source of creation, not your awareness? So awareness is definitely valuable, but your choice is what creates. So everything that doesn't allow you to choose, would you destroy and uncreate it all, especially your decision or your judgment about waiting for the right choice. Everything that is, would you destroy and uncreate it all times a gazillion. Right, wrong, good, bad, all nines, puck, pod, shorts, boys, and beyonds. So, you know, this is such a mistake that we make because we can totally be an energy while we're sleeping that would also contribute to our businesses and to our future. So what energy, space, and consciousness can you be while you're sleeping that would contribute to your business now and in the future? And everything that doesn't allow that, would you destroy and uncreate it all? Times a gazillion, right, wrong, good, bad, all nines, puck, pod, shorts, boys, and beyonds. So another interesting thing is, like, you know, so many people in business think that that when you are in business, or that you know, the only way to make money in business is to actually be working or producing by the hour, or that, you know, you have to have sleepless nights, the anxieties, the elation of winning clients and their business, the ups, the downs, that it's going to be this, you know, roller coaster ride. And so, like, what if it wasn't? What if you could actually rewrite that and create something totally different? So again, like when we started this whole conversation, there's so many points of views out there about what business is, what profitability is, what's required to get profitable, how you need to do your business. And it's not a cookie-cutter approach. You are your own unique being. You know things that other people don't know. The thing that I love so much about Access Consciousness and Joy of Business is that it's about empowering you to know what you know, not empowering you to know what everyone else knows or know what I know. That what works for me may not work for you. It's about empowering you to get into question and to look at what choices you have, what capacities with business and money and profitability you have that you've never acknowledged or owned or asked about. And once you start asking questions, get out of judgment, get out of the polarity, get out of the rightness and the wrongness, and get into the question and the choices that are available to you, that's truly when you become the gift and the invitation that this world requires. Because how many other people are in that same vicious cycle of thinking that they need to be like everyone else? And sure, it's cliche, to think, okay, well, you have to be you, and no one else can be like you. But it's not a cliche; it's a truth. There is no one else like you. There is no one else that knows exactly what's true for you other than you. And so, when is it going to be time for you to actually be you? And, oh, wow, there's a book that Dr. Dane Heer wrote, Being You, Changing the World. If you haven't read it, I would highly suggest that you do, because it's about being you and changing the world. And everything you've decided, judged, concluded, and computed that you couldn't be something or someone to change the world, would you destroy and uncreate all of that? Times a godzillion, right, wrong, good, bad, all nines, puck, pod, shorts, boys, and beyonds. What if you, being you, in the way that you do business, in the way that you function now and in the future, could be the invitation to creating a totally different reality, because it invites other people to choose what's true for them and to be with business and to be with profitability in the way that is true for them. It's not about following you and what you're doing, but it's about when you start being you, you become this beacon of light that starts to vibrate and starts to resonate and ripple out, an invitation for others to just be them. Not for them to be you, but for them to be them. And so what if that could actually contribute to the profitability in your life and in your business, to the expansion of choice and possibility, and to create greater ease than you would have ever imagined possible? Because when you have more money, money is just actually for our bodies, right? Like it's so that because we've embodied in this lifetime, like our bodies require food and shelter and all of those different things. And so, we as the infinite beings don't require money. We don't require money, but our bodies require it, and it just makes it so much more ease. So everything you've decided about that, would you destroy and uncreate it all, and what money is and what it is required, what is required for it. Times a godzillion, right, wrong, good, bad, all nines, puck, pod, shorts, boys, and beyonds. And so we're going to take a short break in a few seconds, and I just want you to really, really ask, like, what points of views have you been functioning from that you can now let go of, that if you destroyed and uncreated would actually give you access to the questions and the choices and the possibilities that are available to you that you've never considered. So I will speak to you in just a couple more minutes, and we will finish up this awesome show.
What do you hate about business? And do you want to change it? If you don't want to change anything about your job or business, stop listening. You're all good. If you'd like to have money just for the fun of it and stop the negative self-talk, check out Joy of Business. This is about knowing what you know about business and creating more than you can imagine. Access Joy of Business 101 classes offered around the world. Go to accessjoybusiness.com/101.
As difficult as it is to believe, there are places in Africa where human traffickers sell albino children and their body parts for use in magic rituals. Humanity Healing International is actively working in Uganda to change this paradigm. The Albino Rescue Project finds albino children who are at risk and places them in safe schools and environments where they can learn and grow free from fear. To learn more or to sponsor a child, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is. Are you trying to get from point A to point B and need a little advice? Connect with the counselors at OMTimes Advisors. Whether you're looking for a life coach or a spiritual intuitive, the advisors participating at advisors.omtimes.com were carefully chosen based on their gifts, skills, and professionalism. OMTimes Advisors, connecting you with the best advisors in the business.
Hello, I'm Lisa Berry. Join me every Monday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time for Light on Living, a chance to see new, hear different, and feel more as I shine the spotlight on all the ways to lighten the load of life's challenges. Light on Living is your link to that new way you're looking for, that new understanding that will enhance your life, and that positive connection that will support your growth. So join me, and you'll gain insight and start to see things in a new way that motivates you.
Your conscious connection to a more mindful world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Alrighty, welcome back, everyone. So we were just talking about, or I asked you over the break to consider all of the points of views that you've been using to essentially cut off your awareness and to limit your choices, and is now the time to let them all go. So everything everything that we brought up, that you brought up, would you destroy and uncreate it all? Times a godzillion, right, wrong, good, bad, all nines, puck, fight, shorts, boys, and beyond. So something I just want to really, emphasize here in this little moment is that you can do this yourself. Every single moment that you come up with a limiting point of view or a rightness or a wrongness or a judgment or anything or a decision or a conclusion, you can just pluck and pot it. Simple as that. What if it didn't actually have to be as hard as everyone makes it out to be? Anything that is a limitation that has been created can just as easily as it was created be destroyed. So everything that doesn't allow you to know that, to be that, to receive it, to perceive it, and to choose it, would you destroy and uncreate it all? Times a godzillion, right, wrong, good, bad, all nines, puck, fight, shorts, boys, and beyonds. What if business and profitability and life and all of this could actually be way more easy, way more fun, way more joyful than we've ever been taught, acknowledged, imagined, considered, etc.? Everything that doesn't allow that, would you destroy and uncreate it all? Times a godzillion, right, wrong, good, bad, all nines, puck, fight, shorts, boys, and beyonds. You see, we buy into this lie that we need certain things, right? We need it to be hard. We need it to be this slug or this, significant story of triumph and trial and error and, overcoming obstacles, the hero's journey. Bullshit. What if it was just the coolest, most easy journey on the planet? How fun would that be? Why, everywhere that you're buying into the lies and are implanted and explanted to believe that your story, your trials and tribulations have to be just as dramatic and traumatic and hard as everyone else's so that you can fit into this contextual reality, would you fucking destroy and uncreate it all? Times a godzillion, right, wrong, good, bad, all nines, puck, blood, shorts, boys, and beyond. So part of being, we talk about something in Access about being needless, not needing. So there's a big difference between not needing something and being needless. Being needless is a space where you're never waiting for others and you're never allowing anyone or anything to be greater than you, because you are the source of your creation. You are the source of your reality, not anyone else, not anything else. And so, one of the greatest things that I love about Access is that it gives you the tools to be you and to have access to all of you and what you be and to empower you to do that. It's not telling you what to do. It's never giving you an answer. It's just giving you tools to know what you know, to be empowered, and to continue to be needless of all of the things that this contextual reality continuously bombards you with, the lies of saying that you need them, or you need this, you need that. When you make other people the valuable product, or another product more valuable than you actually will wait instead of create. And you don't want to wait for any part of your life. Don't wait for anyone or anything. What would it be like if you no longer needed anyone or anything in your life and in your business? How much more profitable could you actually be if you were needless? And everything that brings up and lets down, would you destroy and uncreate it all? Times a godzillion, right, wrong, good, bad, all nines, puck, pod, shorts, boys, and beyonds. So, do you have a valuable product that's not valuable to anyone else that you're holding on to? Are you the valuable product that you're holding on to that could actually be valuable to everyone else? Everything that is, would you destroy and uncreate it all? Would you be willing to actually be the valuable product that you truly be without needing anyone or anything else in your life? And would you be willing to allow all of that profitability to show up in a totally different form than what you've already decided, judged, concluded, and computed it could be or needed to be? Everything that is, would you destroy and uncreate it all? Times a godzillion, right, wrong, good, bad, all nines, puck, pud, shorts, boys, and beyonds. So if you're only aware of what's valuable to you through your partner, your clients, your vendors, your employer, your employees, your children, your friends, your business, your own thoughts and points of views, can you actually receive from all of the molecules of consciousness, from every single entity that's willing to gift to you? Not really, because you're filtering it through all of those different constructs, and those are in place that you've decided you need. So it's like, the more you actually just function from this needless space and are willing to just, give up all of that. And, what are you not willing to lose that if you were willing to lose it would actually set you free and give you all the profitability that you truly desired with greater ease? And everything that is, would you destroy and uncreate it all? Times a godzillion, right, wrong, good, bad, all nines, puck, pud, shorts, boys, beyonds. You see, the thing is that when we are meaning-making machines, when we are bound by this contextual reality, we continuously create meaning, and then we perform that meaning. So, but what if, so either we decide that things are meaningful or meaningless, and all of those points of views contribute to either the limitations or the choices that we have available to us. And if you make things meaningful and significant, and you don't get into the question of what else is possible, how does it get better than this, what other choices do I have available, what if this wasn't meaningful, what if this wasn't meaningless? Like, if you just remain in the question, you bypass all of that programming and you really tap into the possibilities that are available to you in every single nanosecond. And you invite the molecules of consciousness to reconfigure themselves based on the questions that you are asking. So what if you knew that your profitability in the future, that you could plan for profit in a totally different way, in like this magical, miraculous, fun, and joyful way? Would you choose it if you knew that that was available to you? So, I have this 6-month exclusive coaching program called Planning for Profit, which is why I love this topic so much, because so many people don't know how to do this. They don't have the tools. They've never considered, playing with the molecules, being in the question, looking at, the systems that actually work for them and their businesses and their lives, and what it takes for them to be profitable in the future, now and in the future. And so many of the people that I've coached around this topic, when they start to actually just be them and not be in need of all the people and all of the systems and all of the products and all of the different points of views that are being bombarded at them, when they actually create the time and the space for themselves to ask what's true for them and choose that, the speed at which they create and truly become profitable is astonishing. Like, it's just, it's why I just continue to do what I do and why I love this so much, because it inspires me to continue to be me, because the more I am me, the more they become them. It just becomes this like invitation to the whole world to create and generate such a different possibility around business and life and living that is available to everyone. And I don't know about you, but before I learned these different tools and had this different perspective and created my business in this different way, it was hard and it was shitty. It was lonely. It was like, it was just so cutthroat, and there was no kindness and no nurturing, and really just a total separation from me and what I knew was possible. And I would just like to invite you to stop separating from you and what is possible, because when you stop separating from you and your future and, what is truly possible, that is really when the magic starts to get created. Because when you're separated, when you're rejecting it, when you're judging it, when you are deciding and concluding and operating from all these points of views in this contextual reality, and you're not asking, how can I use this to my advantage? Like, we're all in it. We're all in this contextual reality together. So what if we could actually use it to our advantage to create something even greater, to create beyond it, which means to be inclusive of it. Because remember, consciousness includes everything and judges nothing. So when you are inclusive and you're not separating from yourself and from this reality, even as insane and limited as it is, when you actually use it to your advantage, you start to actually leverage that which is around you and start to engage and communicate and create with all of the molecules of consciousness that exist, all of the different entities, entity being, anything that has a form, a song, a book, a business entity, nature, angels, things that have passed over, beings that have passed over that are like your teammates. Ask your teammates to contribute to you. And everything that doesn't allow you to receive totally and fully from all of life. Access's mantra is all of life comes to me with ease, joy, and glory. So everything that doesn't allow you to receive all of life from all the consciousness, all the molecules, the good, the bad, the ugly, all of it, would you destroy and create it all? Times a godzillion, right, wrong, good, bad, all nines, pop, pod, shorts, boys, and beyond. Because when you start to receive all of life and from everything and not separate from any of it, that's when true choice, true possibility, and true profitability become available to you. And so, my beautiful friends, I thank you for staying with me this whole show. If you have tuned in for the whole thing, if you've tuned into some of it, all of it, and I invite you to come and play with me. My website is kerrygarnerventer.com. You can find my classes /classes for anything that's coming up. And what if you, being the gift that you be, and knowing that and claiming it and owning it and acknowledging it actually would set you free. Thanks for joining me. See you soon.